Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to demystify the economics of renewable energy. We're going to look past the headlines to really understand the financial challenges and, the clever solutions that are driving this whole green transition.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with why we're even pushing for renewables in the first place. Then, we'll get a little reality check on where things actually stand today. After that, we'll dive into the biggest economic hurdle they face, explore the policies designed to get around it, and then we'll wrap up with a look at what's next. Okay, let's get into it.
All right, first up, let's set the stage a bit. Why is there this massive global push for renewables? Well, it's a story that really has two major turning points.
So you can see right here how the whole motivation has completely shifted over time. That first spark, back in the 70s, that was all about energy security. It was a direct reaction to those big oil shocks and this growing fear of relying on foreign fossil fuels. But today the main driver is much bigger. It's global. It's all about tackling climate change by cutting our CO2 emissions.
And here's the thing you've got to understand. This isn't just an environmental issue, not by a long shot. It's also about energy independence, right? And it's about improving energy access for literally billions of people who don't have it. And of course, it's a chance to create a whole new wave of jobs. So it's really this blend of economic growth and sustainable development all wrapped up together.
Okay, so now for a bit of a reality check. Let's look at the actual numbers. What does the global renewable energy landscape really look like? Because the answer, well, it might surprise you. 13%. According to the International Energy Agency, that's how much of our total primary energy came from renewables back in 2007. And you might think, hey, that's not too bad for back then. But the real story is what's actually hiding inside that number.
And wow, this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at this. Over 3/4 of that renewable energy was what we call combustible renewables and waste. I mean, let's be real. We're mostly talking about traditional biomass, like burning wood for heat. Then you've got hydropower making up another big chunk. And the modern stuff we always think of, the solar panels, the wind turbines, that was a teeny tiny 5% slice of that already small 13% pie.
And it gets even more complicated when you look at where this energy was being used. In Africa, renewables made up almost half of all energy consumption back then. Why? Mostly because of that traditional biomass we just talked about. But then you look at a place like the Middle East, and the share was practically zero. A huge variation. Okay, so that just begs the question, right? We all know the potential here is absolutely massive. So what's the holdup? Why aren't we tapping into more of it?
Well, it turns out the single biggest hurdle, the main economic challenge, isn't just the price tag on a solar panel, it's a fundamental technical feature called intermittency.
It's actually a really simple concept. The sun doesn't shine at night. The wind stops blowing. That's intermittency. The power source just isn't there for you 24/7. And that creates this huge fundamental difference in how we manage our power grid. Fossil fuel plants give you on-demand power. You can literally just turn them on whenever you need more electricity. But modern renewables, they give you available power. You can only use it when the sun or the wind decides to show up.
And the knock-on effects of that are just huge. It means you can't dispatch this power when you need it, which leads to what we call low capacity utilization. Those expensive turbines just aren't always spinning. And here's the really big one. It means the grid needs a totally separate, reliable power source, usually a fossil fuel plant, just sitting there on standby for when the sun goes down. That adds incredible cost and complexity to the whole system. So how do we actually solve this? Let's check out the policy toolkit.
So, to get around these pretty big economic and technical roadblocks, governments all over the world have come up with a few key support mechanisms to help make renewables competitive.
All right, let's start with one of the most common ones you'll hear about. It's a price-based system, and it's called a feed-in tariff.
So here's the deal with these. The government basically says, we will guarantee you a premium, fixed price for any renewable electricity you can produce. Then they turn to the big utility companies and say, and you have to buy it at that price. You can see why an investor would love this, right? It takes all the market risk and guesswork out of the equation. You know exactly what you're getting paid, which makes it way, way easier to get a loan to build that giant solar farm in the first place.
Okay, so that's one way to do it. But what if you come at the problem from the opposite direction? Instead of setting the price, you set the quantity of energy you want, and then you use competition to find the cheapest way to get it.
So, imagine an energy authority decides we want 500 megawatts of new wind power on the grid.
They then hold an auction. All the different energy companies come in and submit sealed bids saying how cheaply they can do it. And the winner? It's whoever can build that wind farm for the least amount of money. It's a really clever way to let the market do the work. Using competition to drive down costs and make sure that any government support is spent as efficiently as possible.
Okay, method number 3. This one's a bit different. It puts the responsibility directly on the shoulders of the electricity suppliers themselves. In this model, the government just sets a rule. They might say to every electricity company, hey, by next year, 20% of all the power you sell must come from renewable sources. This creates a direct obligation. The suppliers either have to go build their own solar farm or they have to buy that green energy from an independent producer. This is basically the model used in systems like the Renewable Portfolio Standards in the United States, and it effectively creates a guaranteed market, a constant demand, all driven by that need to comply.
Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. We've talked about the need, we understand the big challenges like intermittency, and we've seen a set of the policy tools in the box to address them. So where does all of this leave us?
This quote from the International Energy Agency is from 2007. But honestly, it's just as true today, maybe even more so. We have only just begun to scratch the surface of what's possible with renewable energy. The real puzzle, the one we're still trying to solve, is how to unlock all of that vast potential in a way that actually makes economic sense.
And that really is the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? We know the technology is getting better and cheaper every single day. So which of these economic tools, or maybe some new ones we haven't even thought of yet, are going to be the key? How do we balance that urgent, undeniable need for clean energy with the hard reality of keeping the lights on and making it all affordable? That's the challenge that policymakers, innovators, and, well, all of us are facing right now. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.